This week on Geek Crash Course, we're covering A Nightmare on Elm Street.
What the is that?
It's a blade hand. I'm Michael Nixon.
I'm Diana Carlo, and this
is Geek Crash Course.
Be careful with those.
In your dreams. A Nightmare on Elm Street is a slasher film by Wes Craven that premiered in 1984.
It has spawned 9 movies, a documentary, a TV show, novels, comics, and some pretty sweet Halloween costumes.
Right. In the late 1970s, the LA Times reported that a series of Cambodian refugees suffered from sudden, unexpected death syndrome. They would go to sleep, wake up from horrific nightmares, and then suddenly die of no apparent cardiac or other event. This gave Wes Craven the idea for A Nightmare on Elm Street. The first A Nightmare on Elm Street features Freddy Kreuger, a child murderer who was set on fire and killed by the parents of the children he killed. He's now a dream stalker, a spirit who can kill people in their dreams, and when they die in their dreams, they die in reality.
Freddy stalks, terrifies, and kills a group of teenagers in their dreams until one of the group, Nancy, stands up to him and says she is no longer afraid of him.
He vanishes, having seemingly lost his power to scare and kill. However, he reemerges at the end of the movie to prepare us for
A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Set 5 years after the first movie, Freddy possesses Jesse, who is living in Nancy's old house. He enters into the real world instead of the dream world and goes on a wild killing spree.
We learn that he's killing the children of the people that set him on fire. Once again, by the end of the movie, they think they've vanquished Freddy again, until he makes a return at the very end. Again. Get used to this.
A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. The third movie in the franchise takes place in a psychiatric hospital and has Freddy back to stalking people's dreams. One of the patients there, Kristen, discovers that she can bring other people into her dreams. Also, there's a fantastic cameo by Zsa Zsa Gabor.
One of the nurses is approached by a nun who tells her Freddy was never properly laid to rest. The ward psychiatrist and the nurse's father dig up Freddy's remains and complete the burial with holy water and a crucifix. Although everything seems to be at peace, Freddy's spirit shows up in the psychiatrist's dreams, getting us ready for
A Nightmare on Elm Street 4. The Dream Master. Kristen, the Dream Bringer Inner, gets killed and passes on her dream-bringing-in powers to her friend Alice. Alice inherits the dream powers from all of the kids that Freddy has killed and faces off in battle with him to save her boyfriend. She ultimately defeats Freddy. However, more stuff happens in
A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. The movies sort of stop making any sense at all from this point forward. Anyway, Alice sees the birth of Freddy at the mental hospital and ends up pregnant herself with a kid that Freddy possesses and kills people through.
Alice meets her not-yet-born son, and then after the usual life and death thing with Freddy, she absorbs Freddy and her not-yet-born son back into her body and saves the day.
How does that... Freddy's dead, the final nightmare. Every kid in Freddy's town is dead, and apparently Freddy can't leave the city limits. We learn about Freddy's messy and convoluted past/childhood. Anyway, in the end, he ends up blown up and dead for good this time. Told ya. Nonsense.
There are 3 movies that aren't part of the original Nightmare on Elm Street timeline, but they're definitely still worth mentioning. The first is Wes Craven's New Nightmare. In it, Freddy's a movie character that comes to life and he starts haunting/killing the film crew.
In Freddy vs. Jason, the 2 slasher movie villains team up to take on Elm Street and then each other. It's pretty good if you like both franchises.
2010's remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street is visually striking, but it doesn't really hold up to the original. The words Elm Street are never actually said at any point during the first movie.
Homework. We would definitely recommend the first, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Also, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, is generally considered to be the best movie in the series. It's interesting to learn a little bit more about the Elm Street universe, and it's before the movies start going completely nonsensical.
Wes Craven's New Nightmare, even though it's not part of the original continuity, we recommend it because it's closer to what Wes Craven always wanted Freddy to be. It's a lot darker, and Freddy's a lot scarier.
Avoid. We would say avoid Nightmare 5 and Freddy's Dead. They're filled with old, tired, recycled ideas and plot lines. Freddy's a lot less scary and much just more predictable. Also, they don't make a lot of sense. The idea for Freddy's glove came from Wes Craven watching his cat claw at his couch. Whoa. What was your scariest nightmare? Let us know in the comments below and make sure to subscribe above for future episodes. Okay.
If you have any questions, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and our website, geekcrashcourse.com.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week
on Geek Crash Course. Can I get you a nail file?
Yeah. Make them sharper. Come back.
A Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Yours are bigger than mine.
That's gonna happen.